For over 80 years, one currency has dominated the world, the US dollar. It's been the backbone of global trade, the safe haven for investors, and the money most countries hold in their reserves. But now, a powerful group of countries is planning something that could change everything. It's called the BRICS currency, and some believe it could eventually replace the dollar. So, what exactly is this BRICS currency? Why is everyone suddenly talking about it? And most importantly, could it really dethrone the dollar? Why the dollar rules today? To understand why the BRICS currency matters, let's first look at why the US dollar became so dominant. After World War II, the global economy needed stability. In 1944, at a meeting called the Bretton Woods Conference, world leaders agreed to make the US dollar the main currency for international trade. Why the dollar? Because back then, the US had the largest gold reserves and the strongest economy. Other currencies were tied to the dollar, and the dollar itself was tied to gold. Even after the gold standard ended in the 1970s, the dollar kept its power. Oil, for example, is priced in US dollars, giving birth to what's called the petrodollar system. This meant if two countries, say Japan and Saudi Arabia, wanted to trade oil, they usually used US dollars, not their own currencies. That's how the dollar became, and still is, the world's reserve currency. What is the BRICS currency? BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are 5 major emerging economies that together represent about 40% of the world's population and nearly a third of global GDP. In recent years, BRICS leaders have floated the idea of creating their own shared currency. Some suggest it could be digital. Others say it could be backed by gold or commodities like oil and gas. The idea is simple: instead of always using US dollars to trade with each other, BRICS nations would use this new currency. And if that happens, it could slowly reduce their dependence on the dollar. Why countries want an alternative? So, why are these countries even considering a new currency? The biggest reason is US sanctions. For example, after Russia invaded Ukraine, Western nations cut Russia off from the dollar-based financial system. That sent a clear message: if you rely too much on the dollar, you can be controlled by US policy. Another reason is power balance. Countries like China and India have growing economies and don't like that the US dollar gives America so much influence over global trade. Finally, many developing nations feel the global financial system is unfair. They want more independence, and a BRICS currency could give them that freedom. How the BRICS currency could replace the dollar? Now comes the big question: how could a BRICS currency actually replace the dollar? Here are 4 possible ways. Number 1. Backed by gold or commodities. If BRICS creates a currency tied to gold, oil, or natural gas, it could attract trust, especially as people worry about inflation in the dollar. Number 2. Trade between members. If Brazil sells oil to China or India sells rice to Russia, they could settle those deals in BRICS currency instead of dollars. Over time, this reduces demand for the dollar. Number 3. A digital currency. Some experts believe BRICS might use blockchain technology or central bank digital currencies to make cross-border payments faster and cheaper. And number 4. Growing membership. Recently, BRICS has been inviting other nations to join, including Saudi Arabia and Iran. If major oil producers agree to sell oil in BRICS currency instead of dollars, that could seriously challenge the petrodollar system. Challenges and why the dollar is still strong. But before you think the dollar is doomed, let's look at the other side. There are huge challenges for BRICS. First, trust. The dollar has decades of stability. Investors know it's reliable. A new BRICS currency is untested, and people may hesitate to trust it. Second, politics. The BRICS countries don't always get along. India and China, for example, have border disputes. Building a shared currency requires unity, and that's not easy. Third, liquidity. The dollar is everywhere. It's easy to exchange in any country, and US markets are the deepest in the world. The BRICS currency won't have that scale overnight. And finally, global confidence. Right now, investors still prefer to keep their money in US stocks, bonds, and banks. Until that changes, the dollar's position remains strong. What does this mean for beginners? So what does all of this mean for you, especially if you're just starting to learn about global finance? In simple terms, the US dollar isn't disappearing anytime soon. It's still the world's main currency. But the conversation around BRICS shows us that the world is changing. Countries are starting to trade more in their local currencies. New financial alliances are forming. This doesn't mean the dollar will be replaced tomorrow, but it does mean the financial system of the future may look very different from today. Here's the bottom line: the BRICS currency is still just an idea, but it represents a real challenge to the dollar's dominance. If it succeeds, it could reshape how countries trade, how oil is priced, and even how stable our money is in the future. For now, the US dollar remains king, but the world is watching closely. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the BRICS currency will really replace the dollar? Or is it all just hype? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more beginner-friendly finance insights.